You might be thinking that I'm going to start off by talking about CPI and what happened in the market today, but there's even bigger news. Elon Musk may have hinted at us that they want to do a buyback of Tesla shares. We're going to dive into that. And then we will get into CPI and Tesla stock and what happened today and the bigger picture that I think a lot of people might be missing regarding CPI and inflation, and why I think today's reading actually wasn't as bad as everybody in the media thought it was. Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. All right, first things first, let's talk about this potential share buyback of Tesla stock. So I'm going to share my screen, and we should be able to see it now. Perfect. Okay, so this is from Twitter, and this is from, I'm not even going to attempt to say this, but he is, I believe, the biggest individual shareholder of Tesla outside of Elon Musk. So he has a lot of weight. But Leo, we'll just say Leo, he writes here, be extra cautious. Please catch the sharp knives with your cash, not margin borrowing. Good advice. Because more storms coming with scary looking knives falling down from dark clouds. Tesla is having, let me scroll down here. Tesla is having PE ratio compression that can be solved only by buyback and or by 2x earnings increase. And you can see he goes on to talk about what he's done. He said, I deployed my umbrella to catch 40,000 sharp knives at $248.88 per knife, hence the 40,000 less knives hitting our courageous and wise Tesla bulls. Thank you for the compliment. We are not scared, for we are the bulls. Now I have 22,800,000 shares of Tesla. I will buy more whenever I have the cash. If you scroll down, Elon Musk replies, noted. So why do I think that might mean that we're going to have a buyback of Tesla shares? Well, let's take a step back. I was at the Tesla shareholder meeting, and oh, by the way, if you like the merch, check out the merch store in the description. You can get your own Fremont, Shanghai, Austin, Berlin shirt. Anyways, at the shareholder meeting, Elon Musk said that it might be time, as long as there's no force majeure, as long as we have a good enough war chest, as long as the world eases up a little bit, it might be a good time to see a Tesla stock buyback. We didn't bring it up. Say technologies, the questions that you can ask, that didn't bring it up. This was all Elon. Elon brought this up on his own accord. So that was the first sign of, okay, well, this isn't out of the realm of possibility. Okay, no one even thought twice about it. Everybody kind of ignored it after that. Sure, you saw some, little bit of noise here, a video here or there, but everyone kind of dismissed it. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, early October, we get a SMP credit rating upgrade for Tesla. That's odd. Before we get earnings, before any fundamental change in Tesla, no new products announced, nothing. Just out of nowhere, here comes SMP with an upgrade. Curious. Makes you want to scratch your head, doesn't it? But then you remember what Elon said during the shareholder meeting. And it starts to make you think, well, once you read the actual letter and the notes from the SMP, you start to realize, it's weird how they all of a sudden get the story of Tesla. It's weird how all of a sudden they're so glowing. And the fact that they talked about, there's a note in there, I forget what it was exactly, but there's a mention about not doing any more buybacks or stock accumulation, or there's something there that just seemed odd. Okay, dismiss that, put that to the side. What else happened? Well, back maybe a few months ago now, maybe 6 months ago, you had the Inflation Reduction Act, right? We see how well that's doing. And part of that was a rule, a law that said that any company that does share buybacks will be charged 1%. When does this take in effect? Well, it doesn't take in effect until January 1st of 2023. Add that into the column of interesting. And then you add in Twitter. Well, if you guys have been following anything, Elon Musk may have to sell more shares. If nothing else, Elon is using his own wealth, his own net worth to back up some of his loans. So that's something else that you might want to consider. And if you're doing that, and if you may need to sell more shares to come up with another $1, $2 to $3 billion, you may want the stock price a little higher. Just throwing it out there. Not saying this is the intention, but it's just something else to note. So you take all these things, you pile them all up, and then you see this tweet where Tesla's second largest individual shareholder is sitting there talking about a buyback, a share buyback. And what does Elon tweet? Noted. It's almost as if Elon was replying to this to give all of us a signal, because we know Elon loves to do this. He loves to signal to us what's happening. Now, all of this is, of course, just voodoo, reading the signs, seeing the cosmos for what they may or may not be. But it's something you can't ignore, especially when next week we have earnings for Q3. Now, don't forget, Q3 earnings, we're doing a mega live stream, okay? You can find it right here. You can click on the link, and if you click on the link, you can set it to be notified so that you can join the live stream. It's going to be just a who's who of people. We're going to have Farzad. We're going to have Yashu. We're going to have Alexandra Mers, Gary Black, Ross Gerber, Matt and Emmett from Good Soil. So it's going to be awesome. I'll obviously be there as well. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be a good time. Don't forget, hit the link so that you can get notified about when that happens. That'll be after markets on Wednesday next week. All right. Now that we've discussed that rumor stuff, let's talk about CPI and why I don't think it's actually as big of a deal as people may think it is. All right. First of all, let's talk about it. Did it come in hotter than expected? Yes. Yes, it did. I'm not arguing with that. All right. We expected 0.2%. We got 0.4%. It's hotter. No doubt about that. But why is it that the market reacts so sharply because they missed on what the analysts were expecting? Why do we put so much faith in these analysts? They're wrong more times than not, especially as Tesla investors. We know this. Analysts are always wrong. We look at people like Troy Teslike or James Stevenson, and they're way more accurate than we ever see any of the analysts. So I don't even know why we listen to them. Now, in reality, let me share my screen again with you guys. We can see here, this right here was the high mark. This was June. We hit 9.1% on the CPI. Okay. Then the following month, we hit 8.5%. That was July. Let's see what was next. August, 8.3, which by the way was another miss, but it came down. Everyone's still freaked out. And what's this one now? 8.2. It's still coming down. My whole point is that inflation, CPI, it is coming down. Sure. Is it higher than what we want? Would we like to see it lower? Yes, of course we would. We want to see everything much lower when it comes to these inflation readings, but they are coming down. And I think that's the main thing we need to take note on. Not the fact that analysts had predictions and we missed it. If the overall trajectory is down and to the right, well, then that's good. That's what we want. We're doing what we need to do. Now, there's another thing that people seem to just kind of dismiss, and that's what's inevitably going to happen, where we start to lap the previous year. So again, I share my screen. You can see right here, this is September, and this is the number that we just got, okay? So this is October, which October is really the CPI reading for September, so it's, think of it as 1 month back. Anyways, we see 0.4% here, okay? Here we see this was 0.1, I guess, 0.1. So, and yeah, that's right, it was 0.1. It was expected to be negative 0.1. My point is, when we look at these numbers, we're looking at a year over year. Now, eventually, these numbers are going to start to get smaller because we're comparing to these over 1.2, a 1, a 0.9, right? These bigger numbers when inflation was really creeping up. But now we have not only hit the top, but now we're coming back down. So as the months start to roll on, we're going to see inflation come down and down, at least for the big CPI headline number. So don't get it twisted. Like, we are heading in the right direction. CPI is slowly coming down. Inflation in general is coming down. It's just not as fast as everybody would like. And I still think that there is a big misconception that, okay, the Fed's made all these rate hikes and we haven't impacted anything. No, one, we have impacted because we have stopped the rise of inflation. Two, we are coming down. And three, it takes time for all of the rate hikes to make its way through. For all we know, we're only really seeing the results of the stop of the peak or the stop of the increased inflation and the trending down. That might only be because of the first 25 or 50 point rate hike. We may not have seen any of the effects of any of the 75 point rate hikes just yet. So there is some reason to be optimistic here. And if for nothing else, inflation did come down. The headline number is lower than what it was last month, right? And that's what I think we really need to, take stock in. Now, don't forget either, with regards to all of this, we were anticipating the Fed to raise interest rates by 75 basis points or 0.75% come November 2nd, I think it is, right? November 2nd. Now, at this point, if you look at what people are predicting, now it looks like it's going to be a full 100 basis point or a full 1% rate hike. That seems to be what's being estimated. And then December will be another 75 basis point or 0.75%, followed by another, call it 50 or maybe 25 basis point, 0.5%, 25 or 0.25% into 2023. We don't really know. We still need to see the numbers. I'm still convinced that we will either see something break or we will see the meaningful decline in the numbers with inflation before the year end, and that the Fed will pivot in some way, some capacity, whether they just say, okay, we're going to pause here for a while, whether they say, okay, we've accomplished our goal. After all, we're up 0.4, okay, 0.4. What happens if you annualize that? What's 0.4 times 12? It's 4.8. That would indicate a 4.8% CPI number if we had that same level of inflation and you annualize it. 4.8%. Yeah, that's not 2% yet. I get that 100%. But what it is, it's essentially half of where we are now. All right. So the point is the trend is heading the right way. Is it going to take longer than expected? Yes, it will. But in the meantime, in my opinion, we may be starting to show some resiliency. Now, if you remember in yesterday's video, I mentioned that I have this little story about my bracelet. If you didn't watch that video, check it out yesterday. It's my fault that Tesla's been down. I have fixed it. I'm wearing the bracelet. My wife's wearing the bracelet. We've been good since then. All right. I know today it was, we took a dip, and some of you might have been thinking, damn it, Nick, are you not wearing your bracelet? You better put that bracelet on. I'm going to come over there. I get that. It's on. Don't worry about it. All right. Jokes aside, I really think that, we are in a tough place. I get it. It hurts. But in the bigger scheme of things, none of this matters. This is why we invest for the long term. We invest for the long term so we don't have to worry too much about these ups and downs. Should we pay attention? Yes, we should. Should we know what these things are? Yes, we should. If anything, this whole kind of crazy climate has been better for us because now we all know so much more about the Fed, about inflation, about PCI, or CPI, where we've learned so much more about all these metrics and everything. And I think that knowledge will help you in the future, because don't forget, this will not be the last time we go through one of these time periods. You will probably go through another 2 or 3 of these in your lifetimes. And maybe this is the time where you've soaked up so much knowledge that next time it happens, you know how to act. You know how to be calm. You know what to do. All right, we're going to leave it there. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. I love you all. Peace.